When it comes to haunted locations, some stories stand out from the rest. Room 428, situated in a forgotten hotel on the outskirts of a quiet town, has gained a notorious reputation for being cursed. For years, travelers, staff, and even paranormal investigators have reported disturbing and unexplainable events occurring within the room. A place that was once peaceful and welcoming has become synonymous with horror, torment, and the unknown. Some believe it is a portal to another dimension. Others argue that it is the result of a tragic event that left a permanent mark on the very walls. But what is the truth behind the terrifying reports from Room 428? Let's take a deep dive into the dark history, paranormal events, and chilling testimonies of those brave enough to step inside. Before we begin to explore the paranormal phenomena that have haunted Room 428, we need to understand the origins of the place itself. The hotel in question, once a thriving business catering to tourists and local travelers, opened its doors in the early 1900s. It was designed to be a luxurious retreat, featuring elegant rooms, sprawling views, and the promise of an unforgettable stay. However, in the late 1940s, the hotel began to suffer financial hardships, and it was soon sold to a private owner who had a mysterious and often unsettling presence in the community. Not much is known about the hotel's new owner, except that he was a reclusive man with strange habits. His obsession with Room 428 grew over time, and it was during his ownership that the first unexplained events began to surface. One of the earliest accounts of something unusual in the hotel came from the hotel staff in 1951. Several workers reported hearing faint whispers and eerie noises emanating from behind the walls of Room 428, even though no one was checked into the room at the time. Maintenance workers who went to investigate reported an overwhelming sense of dread and a sudden drop in temperature that made them feel as though they were being watched. It was in the early 1960s that Room 428 became infamous, when a tragic event took place. A young woman named Emily, known for being a regular visitor to the area, checked into the room for a weekend stay. She was described as a lively and outgoing woman, eager to escape her mundane life. But on the second night of her stay, the atmosphere surrounding the hotel shifted. Emily's body was found in Room 428 the following morning. The cause of death was ruled as a suicide, though the details surrounding the case were inconsistent. Some said she had overdosed on pills, others insisted she had taken her own life using a method that could not be explained. Despite the authorities' investigation, nothing about Emily's death seemed to fit, and the case was eventually closed as unsolved. What happened to Emily remains a mystery to this day. However, her tragic death marked the beginning of the room's horrifying reputation. Soon after her passing, reports of paranormal activity in Room 428 skyrocketed. The moment the room's tragic event became public knowledge, strange occurrences began to intensify. Guests staying in the room reported disturbing visions and experiences that could not be explained. It was as if the room itself had become a gateway to something darker, something beyond human comprehension. One of the most common reports was the sound of faint, mournful crying coming from Room 428 at night. Guests would hear the sound of a woman sobbing in the dead of night, but when they went to investigate, the room was always empty. The noises were so realistic that many were convinced that they were hearing the voice of Emily, still trapped in the room after her death. Another terrifying report came from a couple who decided to stay in Room 428 during a vacation in the 1970s. They described experiencing extreme cold during the night, even though the hotel's heating system was functioning normally. At one point, the wife felt a hand brush against her neck while she was lying in bed. She turned to her husband only to find him fast asleep, oblivious to what had just occurred. Upon waking up the next morning, the couple noticed several strange marks on the walls of the room, which looked like scratches as though something had tried to claw its way through the surface. One of the most disturbing accounts came from a seasoned paranormal investigator, Robert Collins, who spent a full night in Room 428 to document the activity. Collins set up several cameras and motion detectors in the room, hoping to capture something substantial. Throughout the night, the equipment malfunctioned repeatedly, as if being tampered with by an unseen force. He also recorded unexplained footsteps and whispering voices that seemed to be coming from the corner of the room. As the night wore on, Collins reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread and the sensation of being physically pushed out of the room. He barely managed to escape with his sanity intact, leaving behind his notes and equipment as he fled from the hotel. What causes the strange events in room 428? There are several theories, ranging from supernatural explanations to psychological phenomena. Some believe that the room is haunted by the spirit of Emily, whose tragic death has left her restless and angry. It is said that the energy from her violent death has permeated the very walls of the room, creating an atmosphere that invites paranormal activity. Others argue that the hotel itself may be built on an ancient burial ground or near an intersection of ley lines, areas believed to be rich with spiritual energy. According to this theory, room 428 may act as a focal point for this energy, attracting spirits and entities that are drawn to its power. Another possibility is that the phenomena are the result of a psychological imprint left by the traumatic events that occurred within the room. The human mind has a tendency to create memories that manifest in unusual ways, and the reports of eerie noises, cold spots, and unexplained sensations may be the result of the mind's inability to fully process the tragedy that took place. One of the most chilling aspects of room 428 is the frequent reports of apparitions. Guests have claimed to see the figure of a young woman, dressed in a vintage nightgown, standing by the window, staring out into the night. Others have reported seeing her standing at the foot of the bed, watching them with an expression that seems both sad and menacing. One particularly disturbing account came from a man who stayed in room 428 for business. He reported waking up in the middle of the night to see a shadowy figure standing near the door. When he reached for his phone to take a picture, the figure vanished in an instant. As he searched the room for any signs of a prank, he found nothing, just the lingering coldness of the air and the feeling of being watched. Room 428 remains one of the most haunted and mysterious places in the world. Despite efforts by paranormal investigators to uncover the truth behind the phenomena, the room's eerie presence persists. Whether the disturbances are caused by the restless spirit of Emily or some other force, room 428 has become a place where reality and the supernatural blur. Only those brave enough to spend a night inside may ever truly understand the dark secrets that lie within. As the stories continue to circulate and the number of unexplained encounters rises, the mystery of room 428 only deepens. Will the answers ever come to light? Or will the room remain a place of terror, forever keeping its secrets locked away?